Hello there. I'm still a little under the weather. As a matter of fact, it's been uh, I'm feeling quite a bit better. So, but I'm at that stage where when I start to talk, I start to cough. Okay, and I think it's a good thing because things are moving around. But anyway, so I might not be very long with you this morning, but I would want to cover a couple things. As I'm sure all of you know, today, April 7th, is International Beaver Day. Now, I like to think of myself as a man of the world and an international citizen. And I've been around the block and seen a lot of things. And so I know you're thinking, where's he going with this? Okay. I'm going nowhere. I'm going to change the subject right, right now. And anyway, tomorrow is April 8th, which is the first day, feast of the first day of the writing of the Book of the Law. So the feast for the 3 days is April 8th, 9th, and 10th of every year to commemorate when Crowley tells us that he penned the 3 chapters of the Book of the Law in a sort of an air nub in Cairo uh, on April 8th, 9th, and 10th of 1904. But the writing itself, as we've been saying on and off over the last few weeks, was the result of quite a few other sort of magical events, the foremost of which took place on March 20th with the Supreme Invocation of Horus, which, as you can imagine, if that really worked, and I think it obviously did, big time, um, would be quite a monumental event, and certainly leading up to this point. Now, I'm bringing all of this up because somebody, one of my Facebook friends, and I'm not sure from where, uh, uh, wrote, Happy New Wheat Day, happy first day of the writing of the Book of the Law, and somebody else wrote April 8th, because today's the 7th, and or at least it is now in certain parts of the world, and and I begin to think, now wait a minute, maybe this guy isn't completely wrong, or maybe his statement wasn't without some kind of foundation. So I referred to my copy of the Equinox of the Gods, which lays out the circumstances of the invocation of Horus, 3 days of the writing of the Book of the Law, the changing of the aeons from Osiris to Horus, and I found something curious. Okay, now I'm not saying that it isn't April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Okay, because uh, that is the common wisdom, but here in the Equinox of the Gods, um, in a section that starts off, but Crowley going through the chronological events of this time period. And he's talking about who, it may be asked, is Aiwass? Is it the name by which W, that's Rose, gave to P, which is Crowley, as that of her informant? Also, it is the name given as that of the revealer of Liber Legis. But whether Aiwass is a spiritual being or a man known to Frater P is a matter of the merest conjecture. His number is 78. Well, at least at first Crowley spelled it in such a way that it added up to 78. And 78 is, there's 78 tarot cards. It's the Thoth, Mercury, okay, the messenger. His number is 78, that of Mesla. Now, Mesla is the influence that courses through the paths in Sephiroth of the Tree of Life. So it's okay. Mesla, the channel through which the macroprosopus reveals himself or showers his influence upon the microprosopus. So we find Frater P speaking of him at one time as of another, but a more advanced man. At another time, as if he were the name of his own superior in the spiritual hierarchy. And to all questions, Frater P finds a reply, either pointing out the subtle metaphysical distinction between curiosity and hard work, or indicating that amongst the brethren, names are only lies, or in some other way, defeating the very plain purpose of the historian. Now, he's talking about names and things like that. Now, get this. The same remark applies to all queries with regard to VVVVV, with this addition, that in this case, he condescends to argue and to instruct. Quote, if I tell you, unquote, he once said to the present writer, quote, that VVVVV is a Mr. Smith and lives in Chapin, you will at once go around and tell everybody that VVVVV is Mr. Smith of Chapin, which is not true. VVVVV is the light of the world itself, the sole mediator between God and man. And in your present frame of mind, that of a poop stick, you cannot see that the two statements may be identical for brothers of the AA. Did not your great-grandfather argue that no good thing could come out of Nazareth? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? His brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then hath this man all these things? And they were offended in him. Now that's all from the New Testament, okay, of course, which Crowley was very familiar with. Similarly, with regard to the writing of Liber Legis, Frater P will only say that it is in no way, quote, automatic writing, unquote. that he heard clearly and distinctly the human articulate accents of a man. Once on page 6, he's told to edit a sentence. And once on page 19, Rose W. supplies a sentence which he had failed to hear. To this writing we now turn. Okay. I know that was quite a lead up to this. Here's what he says. It must have been on the 7th of April that W, that's Rose, commanded P, now somewhat cowed, to enter the temple exactly at 12 o'clock noon on 3 consecutive days, and to write down what he should hear, rising exactly at 1 o'clock. Now, it must have been on April 7th that W commanded P, now what somewhat cowed, to enter the temple exactly at 12 noon on 3 consecutive days. Now, isn't that a curious way? Doesn't exactly say enter the temple at exactly 12 noon that day, but on 3 consecutive days. Okay. Now, in all fairness to my friend who posted April 7th New Eats Day, I could see how he would read that and think, well, actually, it started on the. Well, we'll see here in just a second. This he did immediately on taking his seat. This he did, entered on 3 consecutive days. This he did immediately on taking his seat. A voice began its utterance and ended exactly at the expiration hour. These are the 3 chapters of Liber Legis, and we have nothing to add. Okay. Now, let's see here. I'm using a Nelvage little thing from a class on Nokia. And just a few pages ahead, I shall make what I may call an inventory of the furniture of the temple, the circumstances of the case. I shall describe the conditions of the phenomena as if it were any other unexplained event in nature. Number 1, time. Chapter 1 was written between noon and 1 p.m. on April 8th, 1904. Chapter 2 between noon and 1 p.m. on April 9th, 1904. Chapter 3 between noon and 1 p.m. on April 10th, 1904. The writing began exactly on the stroke of the hour and ended exactly an hour later. It was hurried throughout with no pauses of any kind. The place, the city, was Cairo. Okay, and he goes on, and the people, him, Rose, everyone they knew at the time. Anyway, as you can hear, my voice is faltering, and I think I will feel better if I stop talking. Now, there are many wonderful recitations of the 3 chapters of the Book of the Law on YouTube and everywhere. I'm sure almost every OTO website has a recording or a video of it. My good friend James Stone and I recorded me doing the 3 chapters. Oh, it was wonderful. We did it in a mutual friend's house. Gina Martini did it, and for sound purposes and everything else, we did it in her clothes closet. And she came home from work. She worked at Blue Sky Studios. She came home from work and opened the door, and there I was in her closet reading the book of the law. But anyway, and Constance did a wonderful series of 3 readings of the book of the law also. And so I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to sign off before I have to put you through that. Until tomorrow for the first chapter, April 8th. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under well.